Hi, my name is Jennifer Diaz-Avedo, and I started this channel a little while ago, shortly after I became a mindset mentor, and I just never followed through with it. And right now, probably because of all of the kooky crazy things that have been going on in the world, people keep approaching me, and I'm realizing that there is this need for coaching. Just help understanding why we feel anxiety or why we feel scared or why we feel depressed. And I took like the longest path ever trying to figure it out, which is why I became a mindset mentor. And rather than going to a therapist, which there's nothing wrong with that, like if you have access to one, go. A lot of people don't have access to having someone to talk to and hash things out. So if you don't, and you do what I did and just sort of grappled your way through some struggles, this is for you. I have quite a few family members who are struggling with some things. I have quite a few friends who reach out to me on a regular basis that are always asking me, well, how would you do this? Or how do you understand this? Or why am I feeling this way? So I'm gonna explain a couple of things to you as to why I became a mindset mentor and how I became a mindset mentor. I don't know if any of you know what a unconscious competent is. An unconscious competent is someone who unwittingly thinks right. They just believe that the world is good and that life is beautiful and things come easily to them because they believe it. And I grew up that way. I grew up in a family that just sort of lived that way. And so it came easy to me. Everything came easy to me. School came easy to me. Friends came easy to me. Becoming an adult and raising kids came easy to me. I just believed that life was beautiful and fun and good. And so that's what I always got. And because of that, I had zero tools for when there was a hiccup in the road. And, the hiccups that I'd had in my life until a certain point were minimal and things that I could handle and deal with. But at one point in my life, there were some massive, hiccup isn't even the word, like train wreck is the word. And I went from just, everything's gonna work out to absolute panic-stricken fear. How are we gonna get out of this? What are we gonna do? And my train wreck lasted for quite a few years. So I'm gonna draw something so that you can kind of understand this, right? So if we're all creating with our minds, here's my little hill here. All right, let's just say, here's me, there's my crazy hair, here's me up here, as a youngster, as a 20-something, just believing that the world is good and everything always works out for me. And so I'm seeing the world from up here, right? Like this is my line of sight. These are the people that I'm attracting into my life. This is what I'm getting, is that everything always works out for me. All right, so I was married for about 14 years. The first 10 years were amazing, and the last 4 years were that train wreck. My husband developed a gambling addiction that he hid really well. And it was about 4 years of lying and deceit and money disappearing and lying about where he worked and just crazy things. And I know that sounds, you just go, wow, that sounds crazy. But living it every day, the lies, it chunked out my beliefs, right? So if you have a one-off, two-off situation, that can still be scarring, but something over a long period of time shifts your beliefs, basically, and the way that you think. So I would just kind of slowly go, oh, wow, people can't be trusted. Oh, wow, life is really hard. Oh, money's hard to come by, right? So instead of just believing in the back of my mind, having this absolute core belief that life was good and everything would work out and I was safe and loved and respected, slowly those beliefs start to shift and change. Now, I also had grown up in a very religious family, and so I grew up believing that there was this all-powerful being that was looking out for me. I'm not saying that's not the case, I still believe that. But my beliefs shifted from there was this all-powerful being that loved me, that blessed me, that looked out for me to there was this all-powerful being that just wanted to teach me a lesson. And that's a hard place to be, because that takes away your power, your control, your everything. Your what does it matter what I do, right? Like, it doesn't matter what I do. Someone just wants to teach me a lesson. So after about 4 years, I was viewing the world from down here. So the experiences that I was having, the people that I were attracting into my life were down on that level. And I didn't like it, and it wasn't good, and I didn't feel good, and I didn't feel happy. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't feel happy. Well, it took me years to actually take the time to figure it out, but it was because my beliefs, my core beliefs have changed. And your beliefs are tricky. Your thoughts are tricky. If you grow up in a family that maybe there was some abuse, and you grow up believing that you're bad, or you grow up believing that you're unlovable, you almost don't even recognize that those beliefs are there, because they're just a part of you. They're so sneaky and so quiet. And that was one of the tricks that I learned, was because in my conscious mind I always believed that, oh, life is good, everything is good. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't feel like that again, because my beliefs had shifted down to here. And I kept thinking, well, I'm a positive person. I'm a positive person. Why does everything feel so hard? Why am I so sad? Why is everything such a struggle? Why can't I feel like this person again? And it's because my core beliefs had shifted, right? Money's hard to come by. People can't be trusted. You're gonna, someone will stab you in the back. Someone that you really love and care about can stab you in the back, right? Like that absolute belief that I would be watched over and protected, that was gone. So now I'm operating down here, and the entire world is doing this, right? Like birds of a feather, right? Like you attract what you are. So I wasn't attracting what I was thinking that I wanted, or who I was. I was attracting who I had become, which was fearful and scared and abandoned and betrayed. So I was attracting that into my life. Does that make sense? Because you have no idea how long it took me to figure this out. And I know there are teachers out there teaching it, but I remember one day finally wrapping my head around it and going, why hasn't someone said it this way? So you've got, here's all of your friends are down here. And this is why they say you are the sum of the top 5 people you hang out with. Look at who you're hanging out with. What are they getting in their life? How do they feel about life? What are their beliefs? You want to hang out with the people that are up here. And in order to do that, you have to change who you are. And like I said, who you are is sneaky. So how I figured it out was I started to meditate. And my form of meditation was trying to inhibit all thought. So I would sit down on the floor and I would try to get quiet, and I would try to quiet my mind. And it was damn near impossible, because by the time I had made it down to here, I was so harried and scared and worried about everything. I was overthinking everything, that trying to quiet that down, having not done it ever, was so overwhelming. And I would sit down and I would go, okay, I'm gonna still my mind. I'm gonna think about nothing. And then I would catch my thought over here and I would try to bring it back, and I would catch my thought over here and I would try to bring it back. Now, in my catching what I was thinking, that is how I figured out what my real beliefs had become, because I would catch these thoughts and then I would label them. I would go, wow, that's a really disempowering thought, right? People can't be trusted. That's a horrible thought. Of course people can be trusted, just the right people, right? You can't just blanket everything. So I started catching all of these thoughts, right? I'm unlovable. I'm living in my parents' house, right? Like after my divorce, my boys and I had moved in with my mom and dad, and that made me feel small, right? Because in our society in America, oh man, the nuclear family, right? Like you move out of your parents' house and you never move back. Like, oh, it's shameful. Let me just tell you, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to live in my mom and dad's house, because my kids would not be who they are today if I didn't have that extra help. But I digress. So my assignment for you, if you're struggling with something, if you're just feeling depressed or unsure or anxious is to sit down and try to quiet your thoughts. Try to silence them. And in silencing them, when you stop yourself and go, oh, I'm thinking again, I've got to silence my thought, go back to the thought that you caught yourself thinking and label it. Was that an empowering thought? I'm betting it's not. That was a fearful thought. That was a thought of lack. That was a thought of not enoughness. So once you do that and figure out what your actual thoughts are, then you got to go to work to change them. And that's a whole different level. So for right now, I just want you guys, if you're feeling lack or anxious or frustrated or fearful, try this. Do it for 2 weeks, okay? Do it, catch your thoughts, label them, and go, I don't want to think that anymore. I want to think like money's easy to come by. I want to think that life is beautiful. I want to think that I am enough just as I am, right? So the first step is catching those thoughts. And once you catch them, we can work on that.